Okay. Great. Cut.
So
you might as well just make a sitcom.
Hey, did y'all know we all had that?
Cut. Alright.
Ask the question.
Okay. Take two.
So I was mainly raised by my mother and my grandmother up until a certain point. Mostly my mother though, because my grandmother passed in 2011, so I was raised by my mother mostly. She was a main figure as a parental figure.
I was raised by two parents, both my parents, my mom and my dad, and I think in August we'll be married for like 21 years. So yeah, they're just a good duo.
I was raised by my mother. She was my primary caregiver. I lived with her and my grandparents for the beginning of my life, the first, I'd say, 7 years. And then we moved into a house of our own.
I was raised by my mother, my father, and my mother's mother, so my grandmother. My parents were young when they had me, but they had 2 kids prior to me, so they kind of knew how it went. My grandmother, she played a big role in raising me. She lived with us up until her passing in 2012, so a very large part of my life.
Alright, well, I was raised in a first generation Kenyan household. Both my parents were born and raised in Kenya. They both came over here for college. My father went to West Virginia, my mother came to American University. They met sometime after, had me, started our little family. So
my mom had me when she was 20 years old, Stratford, New Jersey. She was a single mom for pretty much my entire life. And anyway, yeah, she was really fun, and I think she was fun because she had me so young, and she already previously had my brother, so it was better to connect with her.
So I was raised by my parents. My mom is from Panama, which is a country in Central America, and she moved to the United States at a very early age. My dad is from the western cusp of Africa, Senegal, and he moved to the United States in his later years during his college years, and that's when he met my mom in Colorado.
She was my only frame of reference for a lot of things, for relationships, for religion or spirituality, for morality. So she wasn't very strict as a parent. She knew what she wanted for me, and so there were rules, obviously, but she was never overly strict or controlling. She was very understanding as a parent. She never used to hit me as a child, which is customary in Jamaican culture. She would sit me down and talk to me about what I'd done wrong or what I had done right, and congratulate me. She was very supportive like that. It was a very nurturing environment, I'd say.
Our household environment was very loving. We told each other we love each other every day. We still do. It was a bit unsteady in the aspect of financial stability because majority of the time my mother was the only one working or the one who would bring in the most money for the house. So that was a bit rocky in that aspect, but other than that, the environment was very like, one big happy family in a sense.
So I was like the second of 4 children. So like you know, I had that. We were like separated by like maybe 9 years. My older sister and I from my younger sister and my younger brother. So like, you know, we were kind of like had certain responsibilities, you know, pertaining to like keeping the house running as like a single mother with 4 kids and having 2 older kids would do. So, you know, shit like that manifested into me becoming more of an independent type of figure. You know what I'm saying?
I would say it's really loving, and like they always stress like the importance of education and like unity. So, just really supportive of me and my siblings.
It was pretty, a little crazy, but like there was just always something going on, and we were never in one place for too long. Like we were always moving. Like my mom is somebody who gives tough love more than like, you know, oh come here, and like she doesn't baby you at all. She tried to teach my brother and I like how to be independent, how to not depend on anybody, really early in life. And that's always something like she instilled with us, never depend on anybody.
And it was like, I enjoyed it because it was different from most first generation households I'd seen, because most of them were like, you know, very strict, very heavy on their grades and whatnot. Like, you know, it was very like tiger parent households. Like, you know, there was much of a good bond there. But I'm grateful in the sense that I had like progressive African parents, that they allowed me to like also explore myself as well and not get in trouble, not scold me too harshly. They gave me like a wide berth. It was basically just get your good grades and stay out of trouble. So I kind of thank them for that, because that allowed me a lot of time to like, you know, explore who I was. It kind of made me introspective, I guess. I got to experience a bunch of different things. And the main thing that was like the best benefit, I felt I was able to speak to my parents. And that's something not a lot of African parents can say, African like first generation kids can say. So I was just like,
There's an experience that happened when I was about 16, 17. My mother came home and I found her being robbed on the doorstep of our home, and you know, it shifted. I became a lot more protective about her, or of her. I became a little bit paranoid for a while, very security conscious. I used to look up to her as like a provider, and you know, I was dependent on her. But I think that shifted my thought process into being more of a protector and a provider. Especially as I've gotten older, I'm thinking about how I can give back to her, how I can, you know, make her life better as it goes on.
I would say an experience like, well, it's not my earliest memory, but like a far back one. It's when I first learned how to write my name. That was kind of big for me, because like they always stress like education and like knowing who you are, and I feel like your name's a big part of like who you are. So like when I learned how to write my name, I wrote it everywhere. Like it was like a huge thing. So it was kind of a milestone. So that was important to me.
So back in around 2008, when I lived in Angola, I didn't really know the value of money. You know, I was a young boy. I was 8, so I used to steal a lot, especially from my parents when they used to leave money around, or like when I used to find their stash. I used to just take the money and, you know, spend it like when I went to school and stuff. And my mom started to notice that was an issue. Then one day I stole some money, and then my mom found me and she caught me, and she told me to pretty much admit what I did. And I told her what I did. And since that day, she always made sure that I was in charge of money. So like whenever she would leave and travel, and like she would have to pay the maids or something, she would leave me with the money, because she knew I had an issue with stealing. And until today, I think that sort of lasted within me, because I don't know, I feel like I'm very conscientious with money, and people can really trust me with cash because of that incident that I had and how my mom corrected me.
Okay, there's one thing that I always remember. So when I was about like maybe I want to say 4, my mom and I, we stayed at a hotel one night. It was pretty cool. I had a pool in She said I could swim. Never got to swim, but it was a nice hotel. The next day, I think I was going to school. She was taking me to school. We were going somewhere, but we had to catch the bus, and like I wasn't feeling too good that day. Like I was being a little grumpy. I wouldn't really eat anything, a little bit. But we got on the bus, and my mom was like, "Zaya, like you really need to eat something, please. What do you want?" And then I was like, "I want some of your Pepsi." It was like 8 in the morning. I was like, "I want some of your Pepsi," and like she gave it to me, and it was really good. She was just like really caring and tender in that moment. So.
I don't know. I think it'd be like probably one vacation. I can't remember how old I was, but it was just all of us hanging out together. My brother was at an age that, you know, he was talking like he was fully like, you know, like he was like middle school age. So yeah, so he was actually like talking in the conversation, and we were all just interacting with each other, and it's very interesting seeing how much like in my household, like, you know, we all kind of just keep to ourselves, but like, you know, just cool. But it was interesting that I could see that the bits and pieces of one another like rubbing off on each other. Like I realized we're all low-key just sarcastic and like just the most cynical people you'll ever see. It's very interesting seeing that interaction, like just that honest and just pure, like, you know, transfer of information. Like, you know, it was just like I said, communication was really great growing up. It was like super useful for like a lot of stuff in life.
A memory that I have with my parents is it was sort of like an annual thing where in the summertime we would all make a trip to Six Flags. So my 3 sisters and I, and then my parents would all wake up early in the morning. We would pack sandwiches, make sandwiches, put them in the cooler, and then just drive down to Six Flags for the day. We would spend all day there. We would go to the water park, ride the roller coasters, and it has a lasting impact on my life because it's something that I really hold on to. There wasn't many times where we were all together doing things like that, so I really hold on to that one memory that we have, and it kind of just makes me want to do more.
Alright, so the first thing that pops into my mind is over winter break. Me and my moms was chilling, you know, eating, drinking, you know. We're like talking, and it was just like very like personal, you know. It was like on a different level of sorts because, you know, like I don't know, just like I say drinking because it just implies like that different level of like recognizing autonomy and, you know, me being an adult, she being an adult, and that's like, you know, being able to talk on that level, and that's like pretty much stuck with me. So it's like that's something I look back to, you know, if we ever get into a little button heads or something. I'm like, alright, well, this is possible. This is just a patch in the long run, so you ain't gonna have it.
Words.
Complex.
Complicated and
Direct.
Complicated.
Fiery.
unsteady.
Nurturing.
Educational.
Conscious.
Ambitious.
Strong.
Reliable.
Loving.
I'd say loving and respectful. Definitely.
Kind.
Spirituality.
Maybe. Understanding.
Humorous.
Maturing.
The lessons that I learned, and I didn't let that control me. I didn't let it define who I could become. So
I don't know, I feel like your childhood has an impact on who you become as an adult. So